Welcoming traveler. Get ready to level up in Dynasty football.
Good evening, wizards, warlocks, and wonderful people. It is another lovely episode of the Fantasy Football RPG podcast. I am Mike, and I am joined as always by my co-host, Evan. Evan, what's poppin'?
What's up, Mike? Just frantically scrambling over here. It's fine.
Yeah, all you got to do is click share 100 times. So thanks for everybody for tuning in. And I am joined by my good friends, Hannah and Nick. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
Hey, good. How are y'all?
Just scrumptious, excited to talk some football and figure out where we can find fantasy points in the depths of these depth charts. But first, let's take a moment. Hannah, Nick, where are you guys from? Who are your favorite teams and how long have you been watching ball for?
We live in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a Bills fan. My dad is from Buffalo. My grandpa's from Buffalo. Multi-generational Bills Mafia over here. And Nick is from Chicago, and he's a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my family's Packers fans, so they are usually much happier than the other half of the family. So
no, that checks. Let me see if I can move this dragon out of your face. There we go. Look at that.
was actually kind of
now we can see you. But it was absolutely lovely doing business with you as a Steelers fan. I really appreciate. I hope you liked Chase Claypool. I hope you enjoyed.
He definitely didn't enjoy Chase Claypool.
The 6th round pick.
Miami's not enjoying them either, I don't think.
Oh, it's terrible. I don't even know what team he plays for anymore.
Miami? I don't know.
Is he still? I don't know. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 month from the draft. So, our first question of the day, who is your favorite wide receiver outside of the top 5? So, let's call the top 5 Marv, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and then Xavier Worthy. So who would you like your favorite to be? Hannah, Nick, I'll toss it up to you guys. Who's your favorite wide receiver outside the top 5?
I think it's a sleeper, and it's because I'm mad the Bears fumbled him so bad, is Cordell Patterson. I feel like every year
Nice.
It's like someone picks him up in the waiver and then goes, man, he's like 30 points a game randomly. And so
yeah.
I'm big on Cordell.
Yeah.
Is Stephon Diggs top 5 or not?
I meant in the draft, but I mean we can
in the draft.
Just shout out Stephon Diggs.
Shout out our favorite yeah.
Oh, are we talking about college?
Yeah, college.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said
Nick went to Clemson, by the way, in case that informs any
okay.
Clemson.
Okay. Little biases.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Okay. Well, no draft names. That's okay. Luckily, we have a college.
I hope the Bears take Marv Jr., but they won't.
They're going to take Caleb.
They broke my heart last week. I thought we were going to get a stud receiver in the draft the first time in a long time, and then it wasn't to be.
We've got a comment. Burton from Alabama, Jermaine Burton, nicknamed Jerry B. We love him. But Evan, who is your favorite? Go super deep for me. We already did a whole episode on the top 14. Go deeper.
Ooh, super deep. Okay, let's go with Jamari Thrash out of Louisville.
Man, I love it.
You want to talk about deep? I mean, a guy that has an outside shot at maybe potentially coming into a Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
Everything pans out right.
There you go. I'll also go super deep. While I was I just went up to visit Virginia this last weekend. I met one of the UVA coaches. Could not stop talking about Malik Washington. So, name to watch. I'm excited. Any spreadsheet nerds that are doing like yards per route run and first downs per route run, it's Malik Washington and everybody else. So, pretty cool stuff. Pop into the college realm real quick. Shadur Sanders said that he stayed in college and, quote, plans to unless he is the number 1 quarterback taken. Evan, how many years will he have to wait until he's the number 1 quarterback taken?
Well, considering 2026, it's probably going to be Archie Manning. Based off of most anything, His best chance is having some crazy year this coming season. Otherwise, he's going to have to have a redshirt season for some reason, have a medical redshirt season that he gets a waiver for, have a graduate year.
Oh, my Lord.
It's going to be a while.
He's going to be like Tua's little brother, just playing 18 years in college.
Or like Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Does he get a COVID year? Has he used that yet? Can you use that too?
Yeah, that's like a redshirt year. You just keep it in your pocket, play whenever. But cool. I don't think any of us have to worry about quarterbacks because we all have our quarterback of the future between Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields. So we're all covered here. Woof. In NFL news, I mean, we can't avoid it. You can't get away from it. The hip drop tackle, and I want to be very specific. The swivel hip drop tackle has been banned. Hannah, what are your thoughts on the swivel hip drop tackle, and does it impact you emotionally?
It impacts me very minimally emotionally, but I do think it's interesting, and I there are certain like scenarios where I don't know what else they would do, especially if they're like running and they're in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's going to be really hard on defense players. Yeah.
Nick, as a former rugby player, you're familiar with tackling from behind and not using the hip drop technique. Do you think it's translatable to the NFL?
Yeah, I think the mechanics of a tackle in rugby versus the NFL or just football in general is very different. Rugby, you're playing for possession and player safety is a little bit different, where football, you're fighting for every yard. So I do feel like that tackle from behind in a rugby sense is a much different technique than what's been translated into football, like trying to get your head out of the way. But man, like we've seen some pretty nasty injuries the last couple of years with some behind the leg tackles or getting whipped around. So I think it's giving the rugby tackle a bad name, but I think it's probably for the best that the NFL is trying to protect players.
Yeah. If the NFL was really real about player safety, they would stop having artificial fields.
Yeah.
They would stop letting guys pop their ACLs just jogging to the sideline. But, whatever. Evan, let's talk about – so the NFL also passed a new kickoff, which I'm really excited. I cannot wait for, like, the random grandpa who doesn't follow football religiously. All of a sudden it's week 1, and he texts you and goes, "What's with this confounded kickoff technique?" Do you want to explain what the new kickoff is and kind of where it came from and what the impact might be?
Yeah, so I mean it's coming from the UFL now, which used to be the XFL and the USFFL or USFL. A bunch of acronyms, bunch of letters, minor league football basically, which is where they love to test things out. I mean, it's a lot like minor league baseball where you test things out, you see how it goes, and then you bring it up to the big leagues. So they're bringing it up to the NFL, and basically you're given a target zone to try and kick it in. If you end up going into the end zone, then it's a completely different touchback rule, touchback way that it goes. I think it goes to the 30, right, Mike? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, it's going to completely change the kickoff game. It's going to change the way kickers view it. It's going to change the way that kickers try and pin people in the corners to be able to allow their guys to cut the field down to half the field. So it should be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. And I'm also excited to see it because right after the news dropped that they changed the kickoff, the Steelers dropped the news that they signed Cordero Patterson. So the old kick returning legend has a new lease on life, and I cannot wait to see how it pans out. So, unless anybody else has any NFL news that we're waiting on, I think let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Ready, Evan?
All right, let's get
into the meat and potatoes.
Cool. So, this week we're going to dive through the AFC depth charts. We're going to try and figure out, among the fantasy relevant positions, who has an opportunity, where some points might fall, or draft needs. If we're looking for perfect landing spots, you got to look at where the opportunity is the best. So we're going to start in the AFC East with Hannah's favorite team. Hannah, I'm just going to let you run through this. So at quarterback,
yeah,
you got
the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Allen. I've been tweeting at him for a long time now to ask him to officiate our wedding. He hasn't responded yet. So Josh, if you're watching this, we'd love to have you. Yeah, Stephon Diggs, obviously, it's the will he, won't he return to the Bills? And he always will. He will, yeah. Great pickup, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir in the wide receiver room. We have James Cook, the chef. And then the tight end duo, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Who's tight end 1? I think it's Dalton Kincaid.
I love that you posed this question. So we went through the show notes. We highlighted some things we thought were important. But hearing it from a fan that we don't really know, like we kind of know, like, do you think that Dalton Kincaid is going to grow into his role this year, or do you think Dalton Knox will continue to be a thorn?
I do think Dalton Kincaid. I picked him up on 2 of my fantasy leagues last year. And in my leagues, I had Dallas Goedert for one of them, and he got injured, and I put Dalton Kincaid in at the end of the year, and he did some things, some exciting things start to happen. I don't know. I think there's definitely room for him.
Yeah. I love comparing the splits of Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox versus without Dawson Knox. Like with Dawson Knox, he's a very average at best guy. Without Dawson Knox, he's 8th all time in rookie tight end targets. Like he had an all-timer season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm excited about him. I think he's going to do some good things for the Bills this year.
Sweet. Evan, you seem like you have thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's the question of what happens to a team when you pay a quarterback and they get a bloated cap number, especially in that first and second year, when the deal, quote unquote, seems like it's expensive. You look at the cap going forward. I mean, Josh is only looking at $30 million against the cap, but $60 next year. I mean, you're looking at a potential situation where you want to get him a wide receiver 1. You're going to probably end up force feeding that wide receiver 1. So he's going to be hyper targeted. You're probably looking at multiple double-digit target. I mean, almost every game is probably going to be double-digit targets for Stephon at this point. Yeah. And you just look at that and say, who's going to be the wide receiver 2? Who's going to step up? Well, I mean, you got a bunch of just guys, in my opinion, that any one of them could step up in any week, which I think makes multiple wide receivers in this offense a good best ball target because you never know who's going to pop.
Yeah.
I love this offense for best ball. I love this offense for DFS. I hate it for redraft because Curtis Samuel has always been a random guy.
Yeah.
Like just a dude. Hannah, I do want to ask you as the resident Bills fan, like, do you think this means they're not going to target a wide receiver in the draft or just not in the first round? They'll get one later.
I think not in the first round, but I definitely think they will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see them needing a body type that's like a little bigger, maybe a contested catch guy because Diggs and Shakir they're route runners. They're better at separating. They're not necessarily like a go up and get it.
I wanted like a Derrick Henry.
Everyone wants a Derrick
body
Henry.
type.
Yes. If you could just line Derrick Henry up at wide receiver.
Yeah. But like, so.
All right. I feel like if we don't move on now, we're going to talk about the Bills all night. We got 16 teams to get through. Let's move to the little brother, the Miami Dolphins. First up, we got Tua at quarterback. Nick, unbiased opinion, a Bears fan with no emotional opinions. Should they extend Tua Tagovailoa?
I mean, honestly, after last year and those kind of horrific concussions he had, I was surprised he was as mobile the last year as he was. I don't think they should extend him. I think he hasn't played up to the potential that I think we expected him to play as an Alabama quarterback. I think he's good, but I think he's probably going to ask for more money than he's probably worth.
Yeah, the middle class of quarterbacks seems to be disappearing. I really thought that the Baker Mayfield contract may have set a precedent, but Tua, former first round quarterback with his current team, hasn't had to bounce around. Like that price tag looks pretty steep, and I don't think he's worth it. Evan, do you think he's worth it?
So here's going to be my question is, do you think that Dak Prescott will get more money than Tua? And my answer to that is yes. And then the question is, how much more per season does Dak get over Tua? Because I think Dak's getting a $50 million contract, $50 million a year.
Give me one moment. What do you know the Kirk Cousins deal off the top of your head?
right?
4 years, 180 was it?
So he's making $45 million a year. So yeah, Dak's going to make $50 million easily.
Yep.
Then
I think Tua gets right in that 4 years, 180 million range.
Yeah. I mean, it's not often that a useful quarterback hits the open market. Like you see a Gardner Minshew, you see a whatever, but
and that's exactly it. And Tua is the linchpin for this entire offense. Look, you can knock Tua's arm strength, you can knock Tua's ability to stay healthy because he, for whatever reason, seems to love to just slam his head back every time he takes a sack. You can knock the fact that they are in a bad cap situation. They restructured a bunch of players. The defense likely got worse this offseason. They lost a bunch of offensive linemen that were really useful. So it definitely makes interior offensive linemen a huge need for them in the draft. So hopefully with Tua not being a super mobile quarterback and being an anticipatory thrower of the football, hopefully they get him some interior presence to be able to keep him upright.
yeah, they definitely need a little bit of help in there. Chris, thank you for the comment. Everybody here looks lovely except for me. I appreciate that. But I don't see the way for Tua to be a top 5 quarterback in the league, especially when he's throwing so he's throwing a Tyreek Hill, he's throwing a Jalen Waddle. Do we care at all about the wide receiver 3 between Eric Ezukanma or Braxton Berrios, or just it's 1, it's 2, and then even the tight ends don't exist.
It's 1 and 2 in running backs.
Cool. I want to get your guys' perspective, Hannah and Nick, on the running back situation. So Raheem Mostert, career revitalized last year. He led the league in touchdowns. He looked amazing. But Devon Achane has all the speed, all the mobility, tackle breaking skills. Like, is Achane going to take a step forward, or is this going to be a timeshare that we are all mad about?
Nick had Mostert in all 4 of his fantasy leagues. So he was just.
Did I draft him in any of them?
No.
Did I pick him up in the waiver after the draft? Yes.
We should be coming to you for advice.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to split some time.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll split time. But if you have a young guy that's as dynamic as he is, I can see how he might get a bulk of the carries.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. A lot of injuries, a lot of glass legs floating around that system. And then
it's an efficiency back. Yeah. It's an efficiency backfield. So
we love the big plays. Yeah. It feels like enough Miami Dolphins talk. So it looks like the best place to find value might be in continuing to ride Raheem Mostert, but otherwise everyone's priced at about the right range. Moving on to the JETS Aaron Rodgers train. So you got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, Garrett Wilson, who has been a top 24 option with me and Evan taking turns throwing passes to him. Mike Williams, recovering from an ACL, almost 30 years old, hasn't played a full season since Avengers 1 was in theaters. Alan Lazard still has a pulse, and then Breece Hall and Izzy Abanikanda is tucked behind him. What I really want to harp on here, let's talk about the quarterback. Hannah, I'm not going to ask you because I know that you hate the Jets.
Nick, sure do.
Talk to me about Aaron Rodgers. How do you view him coming back from this Achilles injury?
As a Bears fan who has been personally victimized by Aaron Rodgers for years.
All right. Maybe we shouldn't have asked either of you. That's my fault.
I mean, she's going to hate me for this, but I want him to come back and have a good season because I think it's a great story. It's a great comeback story. And I think for someone to have, a pretty nasty Achilles tear and be able to walk on it as fast as he was, for him to come back and play this year and have a lights out year would be pretty incredible. That being said, I don't think that he is going to. I think he's probably he's going to be even less mobile than he was. And he doesn't necessarily have the wide receiver talent in the room to be able to get some of those deep balls. I think Mike Williams is a great pickup, but you can't just do it alone. So
I think Garrett Wilson is a top 15 receiver in the league. He's just been held back by Zach Wilson and whoever has been throwing him the ball. But yeah, wide receiver 3, huge question mark there. And then also, Evan, do you want to weigh in on Aaron Rodgers? Or you want to start talking about tight ends?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we talked about on the last show what I think about Aaron Rodgers. I very much think that the weapons there are going to be able to carry him. You look at what they did this offseason. You're looking at the signing of Tyron Smith and then the trade for Morgan Moses, which are giant tackle
Huge.
additions to that offense. You look at Elijah Vera Tucker coming and playing there as well. I mean, maybe you draft an interior offensive lineman again to add to that stockpile. I mean, the Jets are basically in a 2-year window. They know that these next 2 years with Rodgers are going to be their 2 years. They're going to be set back after it because they're going to be losing Rodgers. They haven't been able to get a quarterback in a very long time that is halfway decent. So they're basically boom or bust, going for it all these 2 years. It wouldn't surprise me if they restructure a bunch of their cap to be able to push things to further seasons. You're looking at 26, 27, 28 for those moves. And then talking about tight ends is, yeah, I mean, we were having this debate a little bit pre-show. Tyler Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert, do they draft my favorite spot for Brock Bowers?
It would be fun.
I think they can draft for sure.
I think you can, real quick, you were hitting on the offensive line. Like, this is a glass cannon of a team right now. So you have ancient Aaron Rodgers, you have ancient Mike Williams, you have Breece Hall coming off of an ACL tear, you have a 32-year-old left tackle, a 32-year-old right tackle. Like, they need a young guy that can be a staple for their team. So, like, Brock Bowers is the sexy, like, sprinkle on the top of your sundae. But I think they need some nice broccoli. Give me Talois Fuaga, 10 overall.
Fuaga would be fun, but also the sprinkles on top of the ice cream distract you from the fact that all of the ice cream is melting underneath it.
Yes.
Like, it is just turning into an absolute puddle. And if you can eat it quick enough, that puddle will not appear and the sprinkles will look great.
Perfect. If they take Bowers, obviously Bowers is the tight end that we're targeting in this offense. If they don't, I mean, is Conklin a sneaky play? Like, he's made some pretty.
He's 100% in the streaming conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you look at these guys and you look at the way that people are constructing fantasy rosters these days. You're either going tight end early or you're going tight end late and just taking a bunch of darts and seeing which one ends up hitting. Conklin 100% would be one of those. And when you're taking a bunch of darts, I'm looking for a tight end that's going to be able to fall in for a touchdown. And what does Rodgers love to do? He loves to target tight ends within the red zone.
He 100% does. I'm trying to find there it is. Old Bobby Tunyon he was a top 6 tight end. Only 50 catches for 580 yards, but 11 tutties because
touchdowns make the difference.
Yeah, that's the old tight end realm. So really, Aaron Rodgers is probably criminally undervalued in Dynasty right now because he's 100 years old.
Yeah, and
Tyler Conklin is the only tight end that we want. Otherwise, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and then Mike Williams if you're desperate. Joe Douglas is going to leave this team as an orphan.
Shout out to Joe Douglas, though, being able to figure out moves and be able to put something together for Jets fans to have a little bit of glimmer of hope for a couple years.
My guy is the Band-Aid over the crack in a skyscraper, just holding it together. But let's talk about the last and probably least relevant team for fantasy, the New England Patriots. So the writing's on the wall. They're probably taking a quarterback with their number 3 overall pick. But as of now, they have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I would like somebody else to tell me who the wide receiver 1 on this team is because I don't know.
I'm standing for KJ Osborne. I'm standing for him.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Look, Mike, let me entertain a situation where the Patriots are that crazy uncle that comes to the party and just goes, we're going balls to the wall. We're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. and just saying, what happens at quarterback? I don't know. But it's a ticking time bomb, and we will see exactly how it plays out. And in that case, Brissett, does he interest you at all as a QB3?
As a QB3 on my dynasty rosters, yes, I will roster him because he has a pulse. As a startable asset week to week, heck no. He is a bye week or an injury fill-in at best. I just even with Marv, the weapons in this offense do not excite me for a quarterback unless that quarterback is Jaden Daniels. Like Jaden Daniels will be able to make enough happen from a fantasy standpoint to be useful week to week. However, his development will be crushed. His time in the NFL will be crushed. I will be selling him as soon as I can. So you think it's Osborne? Not so. The other options for the people that are listening at home, we have DeMario Pop Douglas, one of the great nicknames in football, Kendrick Bourne, and then Juju Smith-Schuster still technically plays.
Wow, I forgot about
And
him.
his busted
I
knees.
forgot he plays still.
Yeah, he has 75-year-old knees, but I still think I think he's 27. Like he's actually really young.
He's still
Yeah.
making TikToks, so
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought he just did TikToks now.
Healthy enough to dance, but cool.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, gross unless they take Marv. KJ. So, Evan, what would you pay for KJ Osborne in Dynasty right now?
mid-second.
You'd pay a mid-second for
207. Yep.
for KJ Osborne?
207 for KJ.
Preston, if you're listening to this, send me a second for KJ Osborne. I'll give them to you right now. Hunter Henry might fall into the end zone sometimes. I did want to talk to you guys about this. So, running back room right now looks like Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. Does Gibson interest anybody from like a handcuff check down kind of guy, especially if Jacoby's? No, everyone's out.
Nope, dead.
Not for me.
It's
All
hard to
right.
check down. It's hard to check down if you have a quarterback that can make the check down. So
Okay, well, we'll just move on to the AFC West then. So that was good. Thanks, everybody. Okay, cool. So starting with the big brothers in the AFC West, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, don't know if you guys have heard of him, plays quarterback. Wide receiver 1 is a toss-up between Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown. Wide receiver 3 is an abomination to humanity. Isaiah Pacheco exists, and Travis Kelce is the one until forever.
That's slander.
So Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice slander right there. My
I-
goodness.
I sent a couple of offers out with Marquise Brown in them, so I'm trying to gas them up, get those prices up.
Come on, man. No, get out of here. Rashee Rice is the de facto one at wide receiver on that team.
No, I agree. But I don't think the gap is as big as people think. Like Marquise Brown has been an elite target in other offenses. So
He will have under 75 receptions this year.
ooh.
Want to water bet that?
You want to water bet that?
Water bet that.
Water bet sponsored by Liquid Death.
There
Great
you go.
death. Cool. Boom. Write that down. So 75 targets, Marquise Brown. See how
No,
it goes.
I said receptions.
Damn. I was
You
hoping
can
you'd
roll the
notice
tape
that.
back. I said
No,
receptions.
I know you did. I just wanted the targets. Cool. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Isaiah Pacheco has been an amazing story, an amazing running back. He runs like he's trying to kill the worms in the grass that he's running on.
He does. He looks like a zombie.
Are there any running backs in this draft that would worry you about Pacheco's job security?
No chance.
No.
Sorry.
I almost wholeheartedly agree. There's a couple that they might scare me, but the Chiefs they're not the kind of team to take that. So,
You know the perfect landing spot though for Jonathan Brooks. That would be a lot of fun to watch. Is allow him to kind of sit for the season. But that's not what the Chiefs do. It's not what Andy Reid does. It's not what the Chiefs do. So we're just going to move on past that.
Yeah. Really, so the things to be had in this offense, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Travis Kelce, obviously, the wide receiver 1 and 2. Really, you just want every piece of this offense that you can name. And if you didn't know their name before they played for the Chiefs, you don't want them anymore. So Justin Watson, Noah Gray, I'm sorry to you guys. Feels like enough Chiefs stock. You're not going to get a lot of value there because it's
Rip Sky Moore, just dead asset on your team.
first show I was ever on, the Kadarius Toney Fusion show.
Yeah.
Hilarious. But let's move on to the Raiders because I do want to have a serious talk about them. Their quarterback right now is a toss-up. We'll get into that a little bit. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker as their wide receivers. Zamir White and Alexander Madison as their running backs, and Michael Mayer, their tight end 1. Hannah and or Nick, would you rather roll out Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew.
Yes. Yes.
Gardner Minshew.
Beautiful man. You have to let it go. You have to let it go.
If I were a Raiders fan, I would be chanting for Gardner Minshew right now. But the coach has already said Aiden O'Connell has the inside track to start. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the O'Connell show until it's not. Evan, do you think
did not embarrass the Colts?
No.
No, very
Very
medium,
solid for
very
him.
medium.
Yeah, very medium, which is better than what it could have been. So
I'm a Steelers
He
fan.
kept
I've
the
seen
toilet
not
seat
medium.
warm. He kept the toilet seat warm. That's
he
exactly
did,
what he
and
did.
I think he could do that again.
I think he could keep the toilet seat warm. Gardner Minshew.
You couldn't pick a quarterback that is more the opposite personality than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
a perfect foil. It's just like, wow, complete 180.
What more could you want?
I know.
Did Jimmy G, is he going somewhere? Where'd he go?
Jail?
He's with the Rams.
Is-
No, he's with the
Is it?
Rams. Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Imagine taking
He's backing up Stafford.
Stafford.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Stanford.
brain
Yeah,
fart.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He took performance enhancing drugs, and
I know.
if that was enhanced Jimmy, I don't want to see regular Jimmy. But cool. Evan, you highlighted this. I want you to talk about it. Talk to me about Jacoby Myers and why he interests you.
Oh, I mean, Jacoby Myers, in my opinion, is the perfect wide receiver 3 on your fantasy team because he gets the second cornerback every single week. Tay Adams gets over the top coverage on like 70% of his routes. So you're already having it. Jacoby Myers just needs to win on one-on-one situations. So if you get a quarterback in there that can put the ball within 3 yards of him, he has a shot to be able to make a play. And looking at him, I think if I remember correctly, he was right at the cusp as a wide receiver, bottom of wide receiver 2 last season. It was like 24, somewhere in that range, Mike.
I mean,
yeah.
800
So-
yards, 8 touchdowns.
So yeah, I mean, people are valuing him, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd give up. I mean, I put him in the same bucket because I think KJ is gonna have enough targets to be able to out target him. So I'm gonna put him in the same bucket as KJ right there and give up.
Hold up. You
two-
think
2-7.
you think KJ Osborne is going to get out targeted
No, I think
or is going to receive more targets than Jacoby Myers?
Yeah.
I'll water bet
bet
that.
that. All right.
Yeah. Man, we're flying tonight. It's more water bets we made in the last 3 episodes combined. Cool. Hannah, let's talk about. So, Nick, I would talk to you, but you already traded for an old crusty receiver. Hannah.
Yeah.
What would you want the Bills to give up for Devontae Adams at the trade deadline? Your firstborn child, your house, your future career. Like,
No, honestly, nothing.
oh, doesn't interest you?
No, nothing. I'm not interested.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like third born child.
Yeah, I mean, after the first, it's not really that important. Oldest child.
right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool. So I actually one more conversation with the Raiders. I didn't think I was going to want to talk about him this much, but Michael Mayer, I think he might be on that Trey McBride career path. It's just there's not somebody in front of him that's holding him back. He's just being held back because the Raiders stink. Like if the Raiders get competent quarterback play, do you guys see a step forward for Michael Mayer? Like there's a lot of things to like about his profile ahead of time. Are we in on the Michael Mayer train, like toot, or am I off base here?
I usually trust Notre Dame tight ends. It's usually a pretty good bet.
Yeah. Notre Dame and Iowa, like
Toot.
Yeah.
toot, all aboard.
Except for the fact of his production, the second half of the season. I mean, you look at when Pierce took over and the production that he had. I mean, do you have a single game that he was over 6 targets? I don't remember a single game all season that he was over 6 targets.
Let me pull up his game log real quick. And sorry to everybody that's hearing this. I have a very loud keyboard, but it is very relaxing to me, so I will not ever change it. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Not
Okay.
seen a lot of good things.
All right. So you're talking about a inefficient quarterback with whichever quarterback's throwing the football. You're talking about a team that is trying to build through the defense, as evidenced by the Christian Wilkins Wilkins.
Wilkins.
Defensive players, they just go out of your mind when you just think about fantasy all the time. So obviously trying to build through the defense. It's going to be a huge sign if they end up going defense in the first round of the draft as well. That would be a huge thing as well, saying they're going to get nothing on offense. So
He had 1 6-target game Week 6 against the New England Patriots. So I don't know what more you need.
Okay.
Who was the quarterback for that game?
Aiden O'Connell.
It should have been AOC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the political AOC, the one that plays football.
I didn't.
Yeah. All right. That's enough Raiders talk for one lifetime. So it sounds like we are only in on Devontae, Jacoby. That's about it. Cool. Broncos. They have Jarrett Stidham at quarterback for until Sean Payton can find a different option. Evan, I noticed that you didn't highlight anybody in this depth chart, but there's Cortland Sutton at wide receiver 1, Marvin Mims. They're going to keep trying to make him the wide receiver 2, but it's going to be the wide receiver 3, Tim Patrick, who out-targets him. Then we got Javonte Williams, who we're actually, real quick plug, we're doing a giveaway, little rookie cards for you. So head over to my Twitter, FFMyCash with a K, and get yourself a Javonte Williams card for free. All you got to do is subscribe. And then Greg Dulcich, Weird Al Yankovic, but jacked at tight end. Evan, since you don't want to talk about it at all, and then Nick, tell me, is Jarrett Stidham a top 31 quarterback this year?
No. Absolutely not.
All right. With that, will you be drafting any Broncos players in fantasy football?
I have drafted Cortland Sutton in the past.
2 years.
Actually,
Last
no,
year?
I didn't do it last year.
No.
2 years ago.
Okay.
And
How did that feel?
It was. I didn't win.
Yeah, I can point to why.
You know, so
It's
no,
tough
I
in
don't
these
think I'll be
streets.
drafting anyone from
Okay.
the Denver Broncos this year.
Okay. The way that I read this is that this team is going to be so lost and confounding and annoying that the only player that I want is Javonte Williams. Another year removed from his ACL tear.
They just feed
Hopefully they beef up the offensive line in the hopes of being a better landing spot for rookie in 2025. But this team is cheeks, certified cheeks, and I'm tired of talking about them. So let's move on to Los Angeles Chargers.
Wait. You want Javonte Williams 48 yards per game rushing, Mike?
Frick yeah, I do.
I don't want it.
Okay. All right. Great.
Maybe he's going to fall into the end zone. Maybe he's got a couple catches. He can. He's in the can catch category. They just don't use him that way because they
Look, if
They don't
this offense averages over 18 points a game, I will be dumbfounded.
it'll be earth shattering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
they won't.
Sweet. Chargers with Jim Harbaugh
Mm-hmm.
have Justin Herbert at quarterback. He signed through 2029, even though Jim likes to talk about other people.
Cool.
Wide receivers, and running backs, and tight ends. This offense is Justin Herbert, and then everybody on this show is showing up to tryouts, and we're going to see who gets to play receiver. They got Josh Palmer at wide receiver 1, got Quentin Johnson at wide receiver 2, they got Darius Davis at wide receiver 3, and then Gus Bus as their running back. Going from Austin Eckler, however you feel about his play in 2023, to Gus Edwards
Big downgrade.
is a crime against humanity. This is an abomination of a depth chart. And then you have Will Disley, tight end 1.
Gross.
I don't even know that man. I don't
He
know
used,
that
to be
man.
in, he used to be in Seattle.
Yeah.
He'd have like 1 or 2 good games a
I don't
year.
know him.
Fantasy people would pick him up, and then he'd tear something and be
Yeah.
injured the rest of the year.
He's
What's
not-
hilarious about Will Disley is that his calling card is that he's supposed to be a blocking tight end. But
Yeah.
he's also bad at blocking.
Right, so he's a nothing tight end.
But he's the tight end 1.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen, Jim Harbaugh has been talking about how J.J. McCarthy is the best thing since sliced bread.
Better
He
than
wants to
Caleb
raise his
Williams,
children.
he said today.
Yeah. Best quarterback in this draft, quote Jim Harbaugh.
Ever. Best quarterback ever.
Yes, love that. Is there a real possibility that they trade Justin Herbert?
We were talking about that today. No, I mean, but what if he's just hyping up? What did you say to me today about
I
this?
think
You're
that-
like, what if he's hyping up JJ so that other people like trade their picks?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that he's playing the back. You know, he's
Yeah.
like,
Correct. Best case scenario, they own 5. So if they can get 4 quarterbacks to go 1, 2, 3, 4,
right, and- oh,
or they get enough interest in McCarthy and the Cardinals take Marv,
mhm.
the trade package is going to be enormous. They clearly have holes everywhere. We haven't even talked about their guards, which are gross. We haven't talked about their center, who used to be an All-Pro and is now injury prone. Like,
no, we took their center.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's tough in these streets for Chargers fans, so they could use a king's ransom trading back when somebody does want JJ McCarthy. So
I think we signed Chargers defensive end today. Someone, Austin something, maybe.
Austin something. Okay.
What's his name?
Well,
a man.
I hope his last name is something because I would love that jersey.
Okay.
I tell you what, I will look up who they signed while you guys try.
I think he was a defensive end or maybe.
Have you ever heard the salesman thing where it's like, sell me this pen?
Yeah.
I would like each of you to take 30 seconds and sell me Gus Edwards. Evan, you can start.
Harbaugh. Run the football until you're behind in games and you have to actually throw it. Run it on first, run it on second. Inexplicably pass on third because, you're in a 3rd and 6 situation. Throw the ball downfield, hope that a wide receiver catches the ball. They probably don't catch the ball. You punt, do it all over again until you're down by 17 points by halftime. And maybe it's 17-3. And then you're like, oh crap, I need to pass the ball.
Time's up. That's enough, Gus Edwards. Nick?
I can't really sell him. He's never really been on a good team.
He was on the Ravens.
He was on the Ravens.
He wasn't a stud, but he wasn't a stud. Like, he wasn't the go-to guy on the Ravens.
Correct.
Like, he went to Rutgers. They weren't good. Like, he's never been
Poor guy.
A stud running back, and
but
I can't sell him.
The sell on him is he's not injured
yet.
He is playing and on this roster.
That's right.
So
any running back on the 53, right?
Yep. Whatever running back goes to LA, I will be drafting them in my dynasty teams. But AFC North, let's talk about the Ravens. They have Lamar Jackson, who is criminally underrated in dynasty. They have Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, who we're still trying to make a thing. Nelson Aguilar, who I need him to stop being on my TV. Derrick Henry, who's going to set the touchdown records this year. And Mark Andrews, who will continue to be a useful tight end for fantasy. Let's zone in, laser focus on the wide receivers here. So Zay Flowers, very good rookie season, very productive. They need a 2. So Hannah, Nick, do you guys think that they're going to draft another receiver? And if so, like, what kind of a body type are you looking for here?
You want to take that one?
I don't know if they are going to draft a. I mean, was Zay Flowers their first draft pick last year?
He was.
I don't know. I mean, they need one, but I don't know if they will draft one.
Yeah, I mean, they'd love to roll out Flowers as the 1 and Andrews as the 2, and then likely sometimes, or like Aguilar or like Odell Beckham.
But is Zay? Well, Odell Beckham, is he still at the Ravens?
He is the top remaining free agent right now.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I thought I saw something today saying that he got an offer from the Dolphins or something.
Yeah, they were flirting.
Can I interest you in a Tez Walker in the 3rd to Baltimore, Mike?
From a real football perspective, I love it.
Perspective.
That is exciting. It's fun. Give me a field stretcher.
Yep.
Give me a Jermaine Burton.
But man, Burton's just like that do it all, but not do any of it good type of receiver.
Big, fast, and the Alabama quarterback was Cheeks. But anyway, so we think they need somebody. Zay Flowers is going to continue to be the target earner. He kind of has like a mind mesh with Lamar Jackson. We think he's going to take a big step forward next year. Exciting things on the horizon for the Ravens. Let's move to the Browns because we only have 20 minutes and we need to get through 7 more teams. Quarterback, Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy. They signed to the 18th most money in the NFL for receivers. Jerry Jeudy.
Crazy. That's really crazy.
Browns going to keep Browns in. Elijah Moore, Nick Chubb, David Njoku, and then Jerome Ford might be the backup for Nick Chubb or fill in while he's rehabbing. So this is very clear to me. Wide receivers, it's Cooper's going to lead the room. Judy's going to be the 2. Chubb's going to lead the running back room. Ford's going to be the 2. Njoku's going to lead the tight end room. Is Deshaun Watson good at football?
I think he's good at football. I think the Browns had probably cultural issues last year, which is why they brought in Jameis Winston, because that's a man of culture. They needed to really right the locker room.
Man.
So I think that the yin and yang of Deshaun and Jameis
How do you?
from going back to the Florida State Clemson days will kind of balance each other out. I mean, I think the Browns are going to be really good next year if Deshaun can stay healthy and not, get into trouble and can get, can stop throwing stupid interceptions.
It's a lot of ifs. Hannah,
There's a lot of ifs, but
is he good at football?
I think he's good at football.
How many of the years was he the QB there all the years you were at Clemson, or just
No,
two of them?
Trevor Lawrence came in the last two.
Gotcha.
That must have been a tough stretch for you guys.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. The 1 year of Kelly Bryant where we're like, oh man, we're not going to win a national championship this year. That was hard.
Sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
But
He's next year.
Okay, so for the Browns, it's an awful trade. They gave up 3 first-round picks to be able to get him, and they fully guaranteed his contract.
Yep.
It's absolutely screwing them from a financial standpoint. The amount of cap space that he's eating up, the amount of money that he's eating up for that city. First of all, I mean, they want something to believe in. And Jerry Jeudy just got a good amount of money, but from every peripheral metric that you look at, he was hampered by the Broncos. So hopefully he steps up. Coop can absolutely take over games. We've seen it in the past. He continues to be an absolute stud. But if the Browns want to make the playoffs this year, they need Watson to be good, which is very unfortunate because not too many people love rooting for Watson at this point. There's a lot of off-the-field things going against him, a lot of sad things with the Browns paying him lots of money. And unfortunately, they're kind of stuck with him for the next 3 years. So,
I love Nick Chubb. He's great. I did draft him second overall in 2 of my leagues last year, and
She did cry.
I did cry.
I did cry.
It is also really unfortunate that the medical news came back on Chubb and he's still suffering with issues with that knee, which is really hard to hear.
Yes.
So
I think Jerome Ford stepped up. I picked him up after Chubb went out, and he did okay.
He can help to spell Chubb, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
All right. This is enough Watson talk for one lifetime. Let's talk about a team that their quarterbacks make 1/17 the amount of money of Watson. Talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, we got Russell Wilson as the quote starter. We've got my man Justin Fields that we traded from the Bears. Thank you very much, Nick. It was a pleasure. Wide receiver 1, we have George Pickens. Wide receiver 2, we have a bag of apples. Running back 1, we have Najee Harris. Running back 1, we have Jalen Warren. We'll let them fight to the death. And Pat Freiermuth, the tight end 1. I'm a Steelers fan, so I think this is all extremely interesting. But also just from a fantasy football standpoint, like it's George Pickens and nobody else. The quarterbacks are a huge question mark. The running backs are a question mark. Cordero Patterson throws a wrench to this whole thing. Who is the wide receiver 2? I have so many questions. Evan, I need you to answer all of them in 2 minutes or less. Go.
Running back's a position that you want, especially in best ball. Quarterback is a hope and a prayer. At least Pittsburgh fans have a little bit of hope. They have something to look forward to in the potential that one of the 2 quarterbacks could be halfway decent. And then you look at wide receiver, you look at Arthur Smith offenses, you go to Freiermuth and what he could potentially do. It is unfortunate, the injuries that Pat has had over the years, definitely worn down on his athleticism being back at Penn State. And you look at Pickens, hopefully, I mean, everybody thinks he's got the dog in him. So hopefully he can take that next step and really be a true alpha.
Cool. All right. That answered all of my questions. Nick, are the Steelers a playoff team in 2024?
Because it's Mike Tomlin, yes. That's
awesome.
The only saving grace is Mike Tomlin.
Thank you very much.
I think Justin Fields I think he's good. I just think he has a lot of potential. I really do. I still do.
Why?
You see things sometimes. I just think he is just agile. I think he gives me like he could be, one day a little Jalen Hurts like.
I am excited for the random packages that we're going to see with Russell Wilson. And
Why
Justin
don't we
Fields.
love Justin? I really just feel like Justin Fields could be good. I really do. I'm not saying that.
You look at almost every passing metric that there is, and he is a bottom third passer.
I just have this feeling, and I feel like with Mike Tomlin, like he could make that man into something. I really think so.
Hey, real quick, who's older, Bo Nix or Justin Fields?
Bo Nix.
It's Justin Fields, but like only but like only 8 months. So,
jeez.
Who went to more schools, Bo Nix or Justin Fields?
Bo Nix by a lot. But
no, they actually went to the same amount.
They
both went to the same amount. Yeah, because Fields started at Georgia.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What a blasphemous pass.
He didn't actually start a game, but
he just showed up and then bounced. But okay.
Kirby Smart fumbled.
I think you guys have answered all of my questions. We have 9 minutes and 5 teams. Let's speed run this, baby. Bengals, my arch nemesis. They have Joe Burrow, who, man, would love for him to stay healthy. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You put Charlie Jones here, but I think it's Andre Yosevas, theoretically. Running back 1, Zach Moss, Chase Brown. That's a collision waiting to happen. And they have Mike Gesicki, who I'm sure they'll use just like they used Irv Smith. Cool. Evan, talk to me about the Zach Moss, Chase Brown head-on collision in all of our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, absolute battle at running back. I mean, everybody loves Chase Brown from a rookie take standpoint. They loved him going into last season. They tried to hype him up, thinking that Mixon was going to get cut last year. Then you just take it at what it was, and you look at them paying Zach Moss coming in. The amount that they paid him very much tells you that it's going to be a committee backfield. It very much tells you that they're not expecting him to 100% take the role. They're not expecting Chase Brown to take the role either. Then you also look from a financial standpoint and what's previously happened and how it lines up. You pick up the 5th-year option on Jamar Chase. You franchise T. Higgins for 2 years, let T. Higgins walk. Then you franchise Jamar Chase for 2 seasons. And, all is good. You just keep extending those contracts with franchise tags. Good old wide receiver franchise tags.
Chase Brown had 335 yards from scrimmage, and 320 of them were after contact. So do with that what you will.
So 600-yard season.
Here it comes. No, it's going to be a gross timeshare. I actually think this is a weirdly good spot for a rookie running back to land. Like if they let's say they take Trey Benson. Let's say they take Jonathan Brooks and give him a year to rehab. Like they take Braylon Allen and let him stay in the slow cooker for a little bit. Like there's a path forward for somebody to be useful here. Hannah and Nick, tell me what you think about T. Higgins and whether or not he'll be a Bengal in 2025.
What do you think?
No. I think they'll probably try to trade him. That's all I got on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Franchise tag gets expensive.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they do. I like T. I want him to go somewhere where he wants to be. He gets paid.
Yeah. I would love to see him not in division so I can root for him. But we got to move on to the AFC South. Let's cruise. We got the Texans, the surprise team out of the AFC South. They turned it around. CJ Stroud is a freak. Nico Collins is the truth. Tank Dell is recovering from a broken leg, but he's fun. You put Bobby Trees as the wide receiver 3. It's Noah Brown. Come on, let's be honest. And then next up, we got Joe Mixon at running back, who's going to crush Dameon Pierce's hopes and dreams. And then Dalton will continue to be okay as long as time goes on. That was a lot to say. Joe Mixon. I'm kind of excited about Joe Mixon. Like the gas is there, the contract is there, the offense is there. He's a volume back who has proven the ability to make it happen. Hannah and Nick, are you guys drafting Joe Mixon in 2024?
Maybe.
I'll take a strong maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm excited to see it play out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to take him, but I'm excited to see the Texans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word. Evan, what are you selling Joe Mixon for in Dynasty? If I offered you the 110, you taking it?
I mean, you said something that started with a first round. Yeah, of course. Heartbeat.
2,
Yeah, 202, taking it.
205.
I'll hold. That's about my break point. 205.
KJ Osborne and a random fourth.
Yeah, give me KJ.
Deal. I'm sending that to you right now. That's hilarious.
Do I even have a
Cool.
Joe Mixon chair?
I don't think I have a KJ Osborne with a U, but that's okay. All right, let's talk
But
about
yes.
Joe. Yeah.
Texans were my bold take last year that they were going to do
You
well,
crushed it.
and
You
they
crushed
did
it.
very well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Sure did.
We got to fly. Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. He's getting his 5th-year option. He's 100% the team's long-term plan. There's no life, love, or pursuit of happiness there. Wide receiver 1 for now is Christian Kirk. Gabe Davis, they love to pay him a lot of money. The Jags love to pay medium players.
yes,
They're just like, man, I have all this money. What if I gave it to the most medium players?
they're still the Jags from 10 years ago
I love
when
it.
they had to actually overpay players because they were bad.
Yep. Then they got Zay Jones as their wide receiver 3. Travis Etienne, he's got his 5th-year option coming up. Evan Ingram, baby, the target queen. Love him. Fired up. Evan, talk to me about Evan Ingram.
Oh, Gabe Davis is going to look so sexy blocking for him out there at wide receiver. The wide receiver king of blocking, Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis is a nasty blocker.
He
all
is
right.
a nasty blocker. I 100% am there with you, Mike. But just think about that. All right. Evan Ingram just coming off the line, running a little flat out there. Gabe Davis just destroying the corner. Evan Ingram being able to use his athleticism to get to the edge, break a 40-yard run right down the field, moving those chains. Let's go.
And there's no hip drop tackle, so he can't be tackled from behind anymore. It's electric. Hannah, Nick, do you think they take a wide receiver in the draft?
Yeah, honestly, what are the draft picks? Where are they at?
I think they're at 23, if I got that right. They have most, if not all, of their picks.
17.
17? Oh, man, I gave them way more credit.
17, 48, 96 is a comp pick.
Aren't they the Jags pretty historically known for taking receivers? Or am I making that up?
They
Yeah.
have tried. They took Allen Robinson a while ago.
But they have taken
They took Parker Washington last year, who I think could sneakily be useful.
In the kick return game.
Ooh, nasty. But listen, I'm in on Gabe Davis as a best ball target, but I do think that this room needs they need a grown man. They need a dude, they need a guy, they need a little bit of sauce.
Yep.
Yeah. Gabe Davis is that guy 2 games a year.
Yeah. No, he'll be nasty for 3
2
touchdowns
Yeah.
in one game. But
I always trade for him like week 5, and then he goes on his 0-point fantasy streak right after, and every year, every single time.
Yeah.
the key to Gabe Davis is to start him every week. That way you can ride the roller coaster.
Yeah.
It all averages out. Yeah, that's how fantasy works, right? It's all the
It's an
average.
average.
It's all good.
Yes.
The amount that they're paying Zay Jones, though, I think it forces them away from wide receiver in the draft. Personal take there. If they do go with one, I think it's probably going to be 3rd or later. I don't think they're going to use a 1st or 2nd rounder on it.
That checks. Cool. Let's get into the next team in the AFC South. We have the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, the truth at quarterback. I love him. He's my heartthrob. Then we got Michael Pittman Jr., who just got paid with a capital P. Josh Downs, the elite separator. Alec Pierce, the deep ball threat. This wide receiver room makes a ton of sense from how you would want to build a wide receiver room. Like, you have the alpha, you have a separator, you have a burner. I love it. Like, just pure football, love it. Then you got Jonathan Taylor, who that was a weird offseason last year, but now he's back and we're cooking. And at tight end, I'm just going to pencil in Brock Bowers here. Like, this is the floor for Brock Bowers. If he reaches 15, he's an Indianapolis Colt.
Yes, 100%. Well, what does their GM love? I mean, he absolutely loves size speed freaks. And while Bowers may not have the size, he is the most athletic tight end. unless you look at res score, then it's Theo Johnson. But, Penn
Yeah.
State tight ends always seem to come out super athletic. What does that say?
Well, did you also notice that Theo Johnson didn't do any of the agility drills?
Yep.
Very fast in a straight line. Very big, very strong. I heard this on the NFL Stock Exchange. Shout out to Trevor Sikkema. But, he turns like a submarine.
Yes, he very much does.
Middle of the ocean, doing his best.
Yes, there is no cut. It is rounded routes.
Are we a little worried about Michael Pittman as it relates to his ceiling with Anthony Richardson as a more mobile quarterback who we haven't seen a refined passer yet?
Nope.
I'm a huge Michael Pittman stan. I love Michael Pittman Jr. I draft him every year, sort of late, and he kills it every year for me.
I believe it. Yeah, he's criminally underrated, but I'm a touch concerned, but I'm not that concerned because he's the first read. Evan, we've talked about this extensively.
Yeah.
Any love for Josh Downs here, or he's a best ball target?
No love.
No.
I think Josh Downs is best ball target, like you said, but I also think he's a little overrated by the community. Once again, you're looking at the wide receiver 1 getting the lion's share running game. I mean, it's going to be a power run offense as it has been. You look at the amount of ball control offense they're probably going to play, especially with the defense trying to limit the defensive snaps on the field. You put all that together, and it means probably the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 probably isn't going to have a giant lion's share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say something a little offensive?
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Downs is a social media receiver. He gets really open, but not in the tempo of the offense, and also way on the other side of the field when he's the third option on it.
Yep. They also have one of the best offensive lines in football.
Hot and bothered.
Top 3 offensive line in football.
Yeah. Give the big boys some love. That offense is going to be silly this year, and also you won't be allowed to play them in Madden because Anthony Richardson is a freak, and I'm excited. But cool. Let's dive into our last team, Tennessee Titans. We have quarterback Will Levis, wide receiver 1, throw up between DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. D-Hop is a free agent after the season. Then we have Treylon Burks. What a horrible, horrible, horrible fall from grace for Treylon. Maybe he can return kicks for them. Running back 1, we have Tyjae Spears. I refuse to acknowledge anybody else on that team. No, they signed Tony Pollard this offseason. They seem redundant, but we'll see how it goes. And tight end 1, and really the only tight end worth mentioning on the roster, Chigoziem Okonkwo, elite tight end with a fun name to say. All this to say, Hannah, tell me your thoughts about Will Levis. Is he the guy? Is he the future? What are your vibes?
I think he could be. Could be. He showed some interesting, I don't know. I mean, he gave me a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger, a little.
Yeah, just completely fearless in the pocket and willing to take enormous hits.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think by that you mean Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, who is the wide receiver 1 in your mind between D-Hop and Calvin Ridley?
Man, you keep asking me about all these Clemson players. I'm like, I won't pick a Clemson player.
Yeah, he's like, it's
but
Nuke.
I'm gonna go with Nuke Hopkins because I'm an old head. But I was really mad at myself for not picking up Calvin Ridley, and he dropped pretty late in a lot of our leagues last year.
I picked him up in the 3rd round.
And that was a mistake by me. But I would probably still take Nuke every single time.
Calvin Ridley, I think I took him in the 3rd round in one of my leagues, and I expected more than I got.
Yeah.
Even for the fact that I got him in the 3rd round, I still thought.
Would you say he hit the under for you?
I would say so.
He led the league in almost touchdowns.
Yeah, for sure.
He had a lot of 1 foot down,
really
did his best.
It was very emotional.
Evan, we'll close with this. Talk to me about the running back in Tennessee and why I should not be in on Tyjae Spears.
You shouldn't be in on either of them because they're going to absolutely cannibalize each other. It's going to be an offense where they're going to try and keep each one of them as efficient as possible, as effective as possible. They're going to try and limit the share. You're not going to see either running back, unless one of them gets hurt, get more than 18 carries. 18, I think, is the magical number in any single game this entire season. Tennessee historically has been a team that has pushed defense, and they're transitioning to an offensive team based off of the owner's preference right here, because defense isn't sexy anymore, apparently, and scoring points gets people in seats. And what do they need to sell seats for? Oh, yeah, a brand new stadium. What do you want to do in a brand new stadium? You want to score. So if Will Levis isn't it, then they need to know now so they can actually go get a quarterback to have in place for the new stadium.
100% agree. I think Will Levis is the guy. We have one more question, and then we're going to close out. Are you selling Calvin Ridley in Dynasty right now? And if you are, how much are you taking in return? I'm personally, I will sell him if somebody is offering anything above the 202. Anything after that, I'll just hold.
Okay. I think that's reasonable for the offense and what they're going to be doing. I think you can 100% make that argument. I was just trying to bring up KTC while you were talking, and you didn't talk long enough, Mike.
Oh,
I blame
you,
sir. I blame you.
I keep talking about it. So I think while D-Hop and Ridley had very similar production profiles in 2023, Ridley played on a more pass-happy team. He had more opportunities, but from a per-snap perspective, D-Hop was pacing him in every manageable category. I just think that when they're in the same system, D-Hop's going to eat his lunch, and he wasn't as washed as we thought he was. So give me D-Hop over Ridley and give me the number one with a questionable quarterback instead of the 2.
Ridley is right now wide receiver 45 on good old KTC, below Chris Godwin, Adonai Mitchell, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson, Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, that feels right, actually.
If I told you I would give you Terry McLaurin for Calvin Ridley, are you taking that deal?
Yeah, I'd take Terry.
I would.
Yep.
Yeah. What's that in picks? Do you see?
In picks, I have that turned off right now, but that should be right around an early second.
Yeah. Well, that feels about right then. So cool. Great work, Evan. Proud of you. Hannah, Nick, thank you so much for joining us on the show. If you want, tell the people where to find you, but I don't know, you're not doing anything.
We're just living life, Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Find us in Charleston. Yeah.
Sweet. Swing by Charleston. Ask for Hannah, Nick. Seriously, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you had a blast.
Thank you.
If you guys are listening at home, be sure to like and subscribe. Tell the homies what's up. And Evan, you got anything else you want to say?
Oh yeah, drink lots of W. Fuels you for the day when you're not sleeping. W it is.
Sponsored by W. Use code FFRPG at checkout. Bye-bye.